Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ellis Nordhoff, and today I'm back with the opposition view again. I'm joined by Dan from Talk Forest TV to talk about the game at the weekend. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm fine, well, mate. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to this one. We're both back on TV again. The 5:30 game on Saturday at the City Ground. Of course, I'll be going in the away end. You'll be there in the home end. But what are you thinking about Forest at the minute? Because it's been an interesting season for you guys, hasn't it? Obviously, you're doing better now at this stage than you were last season, but you're still sat in 15th on 13 points. So, what are you thinking at the moment for Forest?
I'll be honest with you. When you look at it from last season to this season, as you said, it's a lot more. You can see the progress. Like we're on a lot more points, we're on a lot more wins, clean sheets, a lot. I mean, from the last couple of games for Forest, it's just been like some of the mistakes we were making last season regarding like defensive, like giving away really sloppy goals. And to be fair, we not really had a settled back four for me or back five because we had like Turner to start with in goal, then we changed it to a new goalkeeper. Our back four, it's been quite chopped and changed as well. So it's just that consistency with the team not been there. I know injuries and suspensions come into play quite a lot. And even up top, we had a couple of injuries, especially to like Taro, Ilanga, Osundoye. So it's just not getting that consistency with our settled level more than out. But it's one of them ones where I think there's that bit more expectation on us this season. Like, brought in some really top quality players and from the fan base, it's a lot more demanded on the players. So it's that sort of second season syndrome, as you call it, as well.
Yeah, I definitely think there's elements of that, isn't there? But you've bought so many new players that you could argue that the second season syndrome wouldn't even apply because there's so many new faces again. What do you think of this approach to signing so many players last year and then back again with even more new faces?
I'll be honest with you, and it's one of them ones looking from the outside in, you're like, wow, we're signing so many players. Whereas last season, we needed to build a new squad because of when we came up, we had that many loan players or players who probably good enough for the championship weren't good enough for the Premier League. So we needed to really build a squad capable of staying up. Whereas this season, we had quite a few of our players leave that probably yeah, they're good enough to stay up, but not good enough for to push on. And we brought in a lot more players at high caliber that probably could push us from that 16th place to that mid-table. So it's one of them ones where this summer that we brought in 13 players, which a lot less than we did. But I mean, the one thing I was happy with was we had like a core group of players. Like we had probably six, seven, eight players that I was happy with. Yeah, so basically, we have to look at it. We brought in 13 players from in this summer, but we had a lot of players where, yeah, they could have stayed up, but they weren't going to take us to that next level. So we needed to bring in that players that probably could take us from 16th to 13th. And we have them, we've got players like Ilanga in and Hudson Dewey who play Champions League football and on the eye it looks really, really good. And Sam Gore, who's played in Europe, played at top end of Holland football. So we have put in that bit more quality in there, which when you look at it, it's a lot more better. I think, and it's something as well because I think people, it's his second full season, second summer, and I think that he's been able to build his own squad now, which we've not had that for quite a few years under Mariakis because it's always been 15, 16 players in and out. So for us to have that bit more of a settled summer, I could call it, it's good, but I wouldn't want us to be doing it every summer. I think now we're putting effect this summer. I think next summer we will only need 5, 6 players to take us through.
Yeah, you'd hope that now, you don't want it to become a common thing where you're buying so many players every summer because there's obviously the financial issues that come with that. And you'd hope that as the squad develops, then maybe you will only need six next year, and then you maybe need two or three after. I suppose that's how the project develops, isn't it? And of course, the leader of the project, Steve Cooper, he's been in the papers recently. People have been saying that he might be potentially getting looked at to be replaced, and there's been links to Crystal Palace. And is there any thought within the fan base that he should be sacked? Because I thought that you guys loved him.
I'll be honest, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he's been looked at by other clubs, just because of who he is. Not who he is. I rephrase that. It's just Steve Cooper, like he won the World Cup with the England under-17s. He took Swansea to the playoffs. He took us up, and it's building that sort of reputation, especially with the fan base and with like how he works. So it doesn't surprise me that he is being looked at by other clubs. So I think he is quite a good manager. Within the fan base, I think as well that there's some frustration that we aren't doing as good as we should be this season. And I think a lot of fans wanting us to get us to top 10, which can be a bit frustrating, but
That's a big ask,
it's,
though.
and I think because we're not doing as well as we should be, a lot of fans have been wanting him out, which I think is very, very frustrating.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Like, but the fact that yeah, people are wanting him out, and then other fans aren't, and really though, if you take away the win against Aston Villa, your form's been pretty bad, and you've drawn quite a lot of games recently, haven't you? So, would you just stick with him purely because he's the man that's been building the project, and of course your fans love him? Is it no question for you that you want to keep hold of him?
Yeah, that's had that. I would keep him, and I think there ain't no point sacking him just to get more wins. Like we need to build something instead of this chop and changing.
Yeah, I think that's the same with a lot of clubs, isn't it? You need to finally give the manager some time, especially when he's brought in so many players. Like they're his players now, aren't they? So he'll want to mold them. And if you bring in a new manager, they'll also want players, and they'll point to the previous boss and be like, "Well, you gave him 13 players. Can we have that too?" So I'm sure you don't
Yeah.
want that. But obviously, Everton's manager at the moment, Sean Dyche, and Everton are going through quite a tough time at the moment. We've been hit with a 10-point deduction, which I'm sure you've heard about. What are your thoughts on that? Because it's a really difficult situation for Everton.
I, how I feel about it is, I feel sorry for you guys personally because when you look at clubs like Man City and Chelsea, you can spend millions on players. And I mean, I know Man City being looked at and all this and all that, but why can't there be some like the same things? Because you guys been hit with it and it just done it quite quickly and fashionably. But with Man City, it's like, oh, we got to keep everything confidential. It could be 24, 25 season. I just think it's terrible how the Premier League, the FA are dealing with it. And it makes me think it's this culture within football because they can't be like, oh, we punished Everton, but we can't punish Man City.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? We want to see now what happens with them other cases. How a Man City going to get treated? How a Chelsea going to get treated? And it's going to be interesting to see. But for now, we're in the bottom three, and suddenly our season is quite perilous. Now we're looking at it thinking, what are we going to do? And from a position of stability in 14th, suddenly back down into the bottom three, and we're worried as fans. But you'd hope that that deduction can spur the fans on, spur the players on, and really drive this team forward. And our most recent game against Manchester United, I'm sure you saw it. Goodison was loud, very loud, for 3 minutes because Man United decided to score the best goal of the season after 3 minutes. But we got beat against Man United. But I still think there's going to be that energy from the fans, especially on the road as well, because Everton have been better away from home this season. So are you a bit worried going into playing Everton so soon after the deduction when players are up for it, fans are still up for it? Are you a bit worried?
I'll be honest with you, I would have been anyway, even if it weren't with the 10 point deduction, because I remember it last season when I think we played you guys second away game of the season, and I was like, Goodison Park away, I'll be happy with a draw, and I'm a bit gutted that we came over here with it with a draw in for with our goal place. I think, especially with everything what's going off, I think your fan base is probably up there with like one of the best fan bases in the Premier League. So I think that with everything what's going on with the Premier League, I think you guys will just be up for it a lot more to get something out of it and even to be heard. Because I know, weren't it the Sky the protest you lot did last week as well.
Yeah, there was pink cards with like protests on it, and there was a march before the game. So everyone's really uniting at Everton now. Everyone's together. So I think that's why we might pose a threat to teams, just because everyone's united, and hopefully that can give the players a boost. But there is a worry that the pressure might also add to the players, and it might make them play worse. Because imagine you've just won 3 games, and well, let's say you've won 3 games, drew one, and then all those points count for nothing. Suddenly that must be a big hit for the players. So I'm a bit worried about that, but I think we can get at you on Saturday. We're pretty good away from home, and I'd be looking at our players like probably Dominic Calvert-Lewin if he's fit. He's probably the one that if he starts, then I'll be a lot more confident. And on the road, we have been much better. We seem to have a way of playing where we let you guys have the ball, we hit you on the break, and I think we can beat you. But if you look at Everton, who are the players that stand out for you as the ones who you'd be worried about?
Probably the man that, like you said, with Calvin Lewin, he can be a threat, especially with his height. And it's that typical old-fashioned striker that, like we got with Chris Wood, who, if we put a ball in the box, 9 times out of 10, he put it in the goal because it's that old-fashioned number 10, put him in the box and he knows where the thing is. But it's just how he plays as well. Like, it brings all the players into it, and it's just a real threat up front, and it's a handful for any defender marking it. And I think that Don Correa, I think he scored against us last season, and him in that hole, he can cause a few problems. And I think obviously Jimmy Garner,
You
obviously
know
he's
him
here
well.
first, and he's that sort of we both knows with his set pieces how he can deliver a really good ball. So I think looking at them three, I think them three, if we don't have a game plan against them three, it'd be a long afternoon for us.
I definitely think we can pose a threat. And yeah, James Garner going back to his old club. You guys love him, and we're a big fan as well. I think there's even more to come from James Garner. He looks a player that's got a real talent and a real calmness about him, but there's still definitely more to come. I think he can add more goals to his game, more assists, and hopefully we get to see that rather than some other club buying him off us. But back to Forest again now. I was going to talk about your key man being Taiwo Awani, but of course he's injured. So massive blow to you guys. Star man out, but who's the star man now? Who's going to step up for Forest to get you this win?
I'll be honest with you, this season, to give slack just not being at his best as he was last season, the man that's been stepping up at the minute is Lander. Because played 6 games this season, got 3 goals, 3 assists already.
Nearly signed for
He
as
scored,
well.
yeah, and he scored 2 in the last 2 games as well. And at the minute, it's just scoring goals. I mean, he's got that rapid pace on him as well, where he can just run and he's just beating defenders. I mean, that ball needs to work a lot more better. But when you look at him, it's just got that pace that terrifies people to Vanisher. And it depending on our midfield three as well who we play because we got 4 or 5 good players, and recently we have been playing Mangala, Sangara, and Dominguez, which they were a treat. Like they all got different games to them. Like Dominguez is like a little bit of a Jack Russell for me. Like he runs around, he gets stuck in. Whereas Mangala is just given the ball and just plays. Whereas Sangara got the height, which had in midfield do need a tall person. So especially them three, but Ilanda probably the main threat at the minute. Also, we got Hudson Odoi, but he just came back from injury, and even last Saturday against Brighton, he looked quite. It was team eager.
Yeah, I think you've got some very talented players now, and a lot of those players that you mentioned are new, and they've settled in quite well. Of course, Hudson Odoi's had his injury struggles, but he scored that brilliant goal, didn't he? And Anthony Elanga too, a player who Everton will link with very strongly. He looks like a very direct, raw winger who might not have the full package yet, like you say. He said the end product isn't always there, but he's obviously been getting the goals, so he's definitely showing something for you guys. And especially with our right back situation, it may be Ashley Young, it may be Seamus Coleman, maybe even Nathan Patterson, but if Ashley Young plays, obviously you've got an older head there against the rapid Anthony Elanga. I think he could give him a really torrid afternoon.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be honest, I don't really rate actually young as much as I used to like 10 years ago. So,
Yeah, he is
and I think,
38 to be fair.
yeah, yeah. But I think it's one of them ones. I think depending who you play right back, depending how he can stop Elanga to be fair.
Yeah, he's the one that I'm most worried about. Really, really fast, direct winger. And you guys do have a lot of players that we should be worried about. And I don't think either team could say that it's going to be an easy game. But let's make a prediction for it then. And let's put your neck on the line and say what you think the score is going to be. Do you think Forest can get this win at R5 on Saturday?
Oh. I don't know. I want to say 2-1 Forest. Just thinking about them, my instinct just tells me 2-1 Forest. I think it's going to be a tough game against you. I think we might go 1-0 down, but I think especially if you keep our fan base quiet, and I think you guys could place a threat and get something out of it. But I think if the fan base like it was against Brighton, especially when we went 2-1 down and how we came back, I think we could get a 2-1 win.
Right, that's positive then as well. And you do mention the Forest fans. Obviously, it's always fantastic at the City Ground. I went last year, and you guys were really loud. And I think that is something we need to be looking at to make sure we can control that and perhaps get an early goal. Because for Everton, the first goal is absolutely crucial. When we've scored the first goal this season, we haven't lost. But when we don't score the first goal, we really pick up points. So I definitely think that's an important aspect of it. I'm going to go with a nice 1-0 to Everton. I think it's going to be a gritty game, and I think we'll nick it somehow. I'm hoping nick it from like a set piece or something, but I think that you guys will miss Taiwo Awoniyi because, of course, what a striker he is, and maybe just not having that guy up front will just you'll just miss him a bit, and hopefully we can stop Anthony Elanga from carrying on his scoring run as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's if you keep him quiet, I think you'd be all right. It depending on how we set up as well. If we set up with Gibbs White in that number 10 and we start with Hudson, I don't think we'll start him, but I think we'll start with both Elanga and Hudson Dewey. I think Gibbs White will be in that number 10. If not, I think we go down in there with Gibbs White, Elanga, and it's just nice to see Gibbs White especially last week, scoring and assisting one. He came under a bit of criticism for like not chipping in things. So I think hopefully if we get him going and I'll be happy.
Well, Gibbs White was fantastic last year as well, and he's a player that Everton were interested in too. And I would have really liked to see him at the club. We're looking for that number 10 now, that creative player. I don't think we quite have that creative number 10 like Gibbs White is. And if you could sell him to us, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But unfortunately not. We're not going to be able to do that. But before we go, I've got one final question for you, mate. Okay, so three people. You're going for a meal with them. It can be celebrities, footballers, actors, anything. Who would it be and why?
Mika Richards, just because I don't know if you watch League of Its Own, but he's
Yeah.
so funny on it. Like, he just cracks me up. Probably Jack Whitehall because he's quite a funny comedian. Like, I've always liked Jack Whitehall. And the third one, ooh, I don't want to go all League of Its Own, but it probably have to be Mo Gilligan to be fair because I mean, Mika Richards and Mo Gilligan are so funny on it, where Jack Whitehall's quite funny. And I think it'd be one of them funny nights that you just either wet your pants or you just be losing your voice.
I can tell that'd be a good night. You could guarantee that'd be a funny night. Some great choices
Yeah.
there, to be fair. But hopefully this game's good on Saturday. I'm thinking it will be. I think it'll be a good contest. I think Everton will nick it. Two teams that are pretty evenly matched, but we'll have to see, won't we? We're both going, and I hope you enjoy the game, mate. And thanks so much for coming on.
It's like, don't worry about it. I'm looking forward to it, to be fair. I think Everton are one of them sides that do like in the Premier League, and I think they are both evenly matched. So,
Two big clubs as well. It'll be interesting to see. But that is all from the opposition view today. Do hope you've enjoyed. Let us know what you think. Tell us your score predictions and who do you think is going to be the man for Everton? Because I'm sure most of you are wanting Everton to win here. But leave a like, subscribe, and see you later.